mis amigos del mundo digital. My friends from the digital world. Hello, my dear friends of the digital world. Today, I have the honor to have with me a lady from Australia. She had to get up very early to be in touch with me. So, Denise, please tell us something about you. It's your introduction about you in order to know you better.
Hello, Carlos, and hello, people of the digital world. I'm interested in learning Spanish. I am semi-retired and I've been a teacher of chemistry and mathematics for nearly 40 years. And it is time. I've got a family with 2 children, adult children, and it's now time for me to do things I enjoy. And once all this Omicron and Delta virus has gone through the world, I would like to travel.
Wow, yes, that's a big problem for many people in this world right now. So my first topic is to talk a little bit about your memories that you have from your elementary school and in high school. And perhaps you have a very memory about some teacher, or talk a little bit about the educational system in your country.
I was very fortunate to have 2 parents that valued education. They had 2 daughters, myself and my younger sister, and my mother's Irish and my dad's English, and they didn't have an opportunity to have an education. They left school, when they were 14 from very big families, and they migrated from England to Australia in 1970, and they were determined that both their daughters would grow up, get an education and be independent women. And I'm very grateful for that. I went to we have government and private schools. As I was growing up, the majority of schools were government, that is funded by our government, and fewer private schools. But the future is there is more private schools because it costs the government less in taxes.
Yeah.
So I went to a normal primary school, nothing amazing about it, was okay. But my parents then made sure I went to a government all-girls school. And I was grateful for that because...
When you say government, that's mean public system?
Public system, and it was all girls. And I was really grateful because at that time in history, girls would only get 5 jobs. You'd become a nurse or a teacher or work in the bank or in retail or something minor, in hospitality.
Yeah.
And because I went to an all-girls school at that time in education history, it was promoting girls to do science. Yeah. And so I ended up doing physics and chemistry and biology, and told my dad that I wanted to go to university and study science. And so I'm grateful. I ended up having to, my parents couldn't afford it, so I saved to go to university by working, which was fine. But they did the right thing. They actually helped. I didn't decide to be a teacher. All I knew was I liked science and I liked chemistry. So where I lived, there was only a brand new university and it really wasn't known for its science course. So I went to the local our city, Melbourne, in Victoria in Australia, and I studied chemistry. And to study chemistry, teaching went beside it. And when I started doing the course, I thought, I don't think I want to work in a laboratory doing routine experiments. I had worked in some summer jobs in various laboratories, and I found it very boring. And I actually liked teaching. And so I ended up doing chemistry and maths and became a high school teacher, and I've loved it. I've actually loved my job. It's a real pleasure to teach.
So you've been teaching for a long time?
I have been teaching for a long time, and I've taught most of the time high school students, but I've also taught at university, helping students who have failed high school and try and what we call a bridging program, get them from high school into university courses. And I did that for a while, and then I thought, I'm missing the classroom. Then what I did was I did preparation videos for students on chemistry.
For YouTube? Or?
No, for universities here. So I did a whole year of preparing videos to help students with maths and chemistry to get into university. And then I did myself out of a job.
Yeah, that's a kind of, pre-university courses. Before, when the student left the high school, they prepare for a year or two to get into the university.
And for older adults who have suddenly decided they'd like to do a science course and may have not done science at high school. And so you gave them a basic science course in chemistry, physics and biology so that they could go and do that.
Tell me about I don't know what your opinion, your experiences about the kids, the high school student studying science, chemic, physics, math, because here I find it's quite difficult. For me, it was quite difficult, science, physics, to understand that stuff. What do you think about it?
Well, there is the theory people are left brain and right brain. Left brain people are analytical, mathematical, enjoy sciences, and I'm left brain. Right-sided brain are people who are creative, who are very good at languages and arts and music.
Yeah.
So I haven't answered your question, but the students coming through do find maths and science difficult. They need good teachers. They need people to give them opportunities to try and realise they can do it. Unfortunately, good maths teachers are hard to find in Australia, and the government is not putting enough money into the sciences and the maths area as they should. And sadly, the courses at university are getting, because of money, getting smaller and smaller in the science areas. Most students now, when they study a science, they're going in the health science, they're going and becoming speech therapists or occupational therapists or physio. That's where most of the career path is at the moment.
What could you say about the motivation for a university student to be a teacher or science teacher? Do you see how is the salary for teacher there in Australia?
The teacher's salary starts off really well, but it plateaus compared to if you went and studied in another profession. Most students make a lot of money if they go in a business degree, management, that sort of area. A lot of students don't really want to be teachers.
Yeah.
Maybe now because of the COVID, there might be new respect for teachers. Yes. I don't think people realise how challenging a job it is.
And everywhere.
Yeah. So no, not many students want to become teachers, and there's not many there will not be many science maths teachers in the future.
Wow.
In Australia.
Yeah. Okay.
Getting less and less.
Yeah. Now I would like to talk a little bit about your interest in a foreign language, especially in the Spanish language. When that interest started, and why are you interested in Spanish? Or do you? How many languages do you speak? Do you speak another language?
I only speak one, or try. Well, Carlos, be prepared for a big story here. It started with COVID in March 2020. My husband and I travelled to South America on a proposed 6-week holiday. Wow. We left on the 8th of March, and we were going with 2 other couple friends to travel all through South America to celebrate my husband and his best friend's birthday, 60th birthday. And we went a week ahead of our friends. Everything was safe. We were told we could travel, and we'd heard about the COVID in Europe, but not in South America. Yeah. So we went over to Chile and spent a couple of days in Santiago, and then we went up to Colombia, and we both like adventure. We were going to hike to a beach resort in the national park in the top area of South America in Colombia.
Yeah.
And our friends arrived a week later on a plane, and they phoned us up 2:00 in the morning the night before we were about to walk out into this national park, and told us all the airports were closing.
Wow.
And to rush back to Santiago to get a flight home to Australia. And I did not know how to speak any Spanish. And where we were was not a place where hardly anyone spoke English. I had a phrase book, and it took us a day to travel by bus to get back to Bogota.
Yeah.
And then we decided to stay in Bogota because we couldn't get to the main city. We got to Cartagena, pardon me. We were trying to get to Bogota. Took us a day to get to Cartagena, and we decided we'd go into a hotel that maybe some people could speak English.
Yeah.
And try and work out how to get home. And we then went to the airport the next day, and there was a queue, 4 hours in this queue, and they didn't want to help us. They really didn't want to help us. We had some very nice people who could speak some English who tried to help us, and they said, no, we can't get you a flight from Cartagena to Bogota, and we can't get you home. And I thought, you haven't told me the truth. And I made a vow that I would learn to speak Spanish.
Wow.
So can I tell you?
That was very hard for your family.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a bit more of the story because I'm sure it'll be interesting. We went back to the hotel and we spent a week there, and all the hotels around us started closing up, and all the foreigners started coming to this one hotel. And during that week, we would book flights back to Australia, and as we go to bed, we'd had a flight. And when we'd wake up, it'd get cancelled.
Wow.
So it cost us a lot of money to get home, but that's okay. We got home. But how we got home was the president of Colombia called a weekend lockdown. So that made us panic a bit, thinking, well, what are we going to do? Maybe we need to realise we're going to live a period of time in this country. So let's book an Airbnb.
Yeah. Airbnb.
So we booked an Airbnb, and when the lockdown finished on the weekend, we knew it was nearby, and I said to my husband, I'd like to walk to that Airbnb and check where the nearest supermarket is, and check has it got a balcony, kitchen, those things. So the morning that day, we went for a walk nearby. We went we needed to get out. And in the afternoon, we went to look at this Airbnb, but we didn't know that between the morning and the afternoon, the president had decided to do again another lockdown.
Wow,
no one told us. So we walked to the round the corner to go and look at this Airbnb in this apartment block, and the police stopped us and kept us for an hour. And again, I couldn't speak Spanish. And I'm there with my phone with the translator.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I said I couldn't even say ayuda.
Ayuda. Yeah.
Or ayuda nos, help us. And they wanted to have passports. And I said no. And I said, you're going to come back to the hotel. I'll give you my passports, which was a lie. I was not going to hand them my passports.
Sure, yeah.
And we got them back to the hotel. And luckily, the hotel staff tried to help us.
Yeah.
For an hour, there was arguments in the hotel trying to explain we're innocent, we did not know. Anyway, the police said, eventually as they left, they said, you are in real trouble.
Sure.
Good luck getting home. So we were in the hotel and we noticed that the hotel was starting to close up, especially when they're going around and taking the alcohol out of the little mini bars. We looked at each other and went, we think this place is closing up. What are we going to do? So there's a man on the desk and said, well, I'll find you a place. I've got a friend who has lots of apartments around this town. So we said, yes, please. Anyway, we got suspicious when after an hour, this man said, yes, I'll give you an apartment, but I want your credit card details.
Yeah.
And we said, no, we're not giving you. We thought this is a scam. Do you know what I mean by the word scam?
Yeah. Falsificado, una estafa.
Okay. So anyway, then my husband said, I'm going to go, stop. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to try and get another Airbnb. So he went online and he found one nearby and he phoned up the person and said, look, we've had this problem. Are we going to arrive at an apartment that's locked up, we pay and we can't get in, or we will be kicked out of the apartment? And the lady said, no, I've got a friend. I can't meet you there, but my friend will meet you there and you can check out the apartment. And this was one day before the hotel closed.
Wow.
I said to my husband said, we're going to take a risk with this. And he said to the lady, why can't you meet us? And she said, well, actually, I'm in America. This is my apartment I have as an investment. And I'm actually in a hospital having my first baby at the moment. Wow. Which was true.
Yeah.
So we packed our bags and we paid one night at the hotel. And if we had to, we'd come back. And we went to the apartment and the lady did meet us and we ended up in, this apartment had 600 rooms and 40 of them were permanent people there. And we were lucky to stay there. And we could look over at the beach, but the beach was patrolled by police and you were not allowed out of the building except for groceries. And we ended up staying there for nearly 3 weeks, trying to get home.
3 weeks?
Yes. And in that time, I had to learn how to get to the supermarket, no Spanish. And during that time, one day we arrived at the supermarket and they wouldn't let us in to get food.
So you were learning Spanish under pressure, absolutely.
Under pressure. And eventually I worked out that day they decided the people with the passport with an even number or odd number could go to the supermarket.
Oh.
And we got in touch with
your first experience in Latin America?
First experience. I've been to Spain. I have been to Spain. And I'll come back to that. So anyway, we eventually got some planes across America and we ended up back in Australia. So by the time we got home, 1 week we got home, we had to do 2 weeks in a hotel in Sydney in isolation. And so 6-7 weeks later, we got home.
Wow. What a
So it's a long story.
Have you think to write a story about it?
I've got a friend who does write stories, and when she retires, she's going to sit down and write our story. There is a bit more to it. I haven't told you every bit of it. Yeah. But it made me, we got a glimpse of South America. We got to see a bit of Cartagena, and it made me never decide to learn a language that I'd never been in a situation I could not help myself. Yeah. And we want to go back. We were planning to walk to Picchu. But
now with a little knowledge of Spanish, yeah.
Yeah, with a little knowledge of Spanish. I have been to Spain before.
Please tell me now what have you been doing, but in Spanish. Tell me in Spanish. Try to tell me in Spanish. What have you been doing to learn? ¿Qué has estado haciendo para aprender el español?
Cada la semana yo aprendí español con 3 lecciones. Martes yo aprendí español con mi amiga de Guatemala. Yeah. Ella visita mi casa. Nosotros hablamos por 1 hora en español. Yeah. Cada vene yo aprendo español via Zoom con maestra de español en Guatemala.
En Guatemala.
Sí.
¿Has tenido la oportunidad de ver mi canal de YouTube? Tengo muchas lecturas en español para que puedas escuchar español de Chile, porque hay muchas variedades de español.
Yeah, but Guatemala. Mi hijo visitó Guatemala hace 5 años. Él dice español poco, little bit. Now I've lost, but you've got an idea. So I do at least 3 hours of learning lessons.
But do you have in your area more people Spanish speaking?
No.
Because in order to have a kind of a Spanish club, I think I'm a retired person. I try to do in my hometown a kind of a club.
I've just found out that we've got it called a University of the Third Age, which is for retired.
Oh, good.
And I've just found out there is a Spanish club, so I will join that this year. So I've started, and I do Duolingo, and
Duolingo, yeah.
So, and I started Tandem.
Yeah, here in Tandem. Do you have many friends here in Tandem?
Yeah, I've just started this last month, and I've got about 4 or 5 people I try to speak to.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but where I live, there's no Spanish people. So this is how I will learn.
Well, Denise, I think a great pleasure for me to have you in my Friends of the Digital World playlist. So, well, we are going to continue talking in the future, but right now I have to say goodbye just to cut it out the video. And thank you so much.
No worries. I hope you all enjoyed my story.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It's an interesting one. Thank you, Carlos, for your time. I will see you another time. Bye.
Bye, bye. Esto fue Mis amigos del mundo digital. My friends of the digital world. Si le gustó el video, dele un me gusta compártalo en sus redes sociales y suscríbase a mi canal. De esta forma estará ayudando a Profesor YouTuber Retirado. Muchas gracias por su atención.